What's going on, gamers? Hopefully everyone is having a great morning. So here in this post, we got CEO Asha Sharma visiting Bethesda to see a demo of Elder Scrolls 6, which is actually interesting. But here's the funny thing though. I know this game's going to be amazing, but my thing here is that she says something that the scale and grandeur are incredible. The story is even greater, right? Like she saw a live playthrough of Elder Scrolls 6 this morning. Now, I don't see her as much of as a gamer. Like, I don't see her as somebody that played Skyrim, Oblivion, you know what I mean? Daggerfall and all that. So saying that is like, I think something you're supposed to say, because this is something that you want to kind of say about obviously Elder Scrolls 6. I think Elder Scrolls 6 obviously is going to be a good game, but I don't know about it being better than Skyrim or games before that, because Bethesda to me is just not the same. But do I believe it's going to be better than Starfield? Yes. Also, on top of that, you have a lot of Xbox fanboys begging for it to be exclusive, which I think will be a huge mistake. I don't think Microsoft should focus on trying to sell Xbox Helix, because it's not going to sell that much regardless. And Elder Scrolls 6 is not going to carry a generation of console sales. On top of that, it's going to have to be on Steam. You always had the mod workshop. I mean, when you just think about Elder Scrolls in general, it's always been mostly a PC title before it started coming to Xbox consoles and PlayStation consoles and the PS3 and 360 generation. You see what I mean? Its home was always basically on PC. So in here, we're going to be talking about certain things with that, why I don't think it should be an Xbox exclusive, and why Microsoft shouldn't play that game, and how you already got your answer with Starfield. Regardless of whether you thought, you know, that shouldn't have happened or not, the point is that so many games have already done that on the Xbox Series generation, Xbox One generation. It didn't work. You tried putting Starfield as an exclusive and it turned out disastrous. Did you not? Yeah. What ended up happening? Then you put the PlayStation 5 port too late and you didn't end up getting the results that you actually wanted. It's just not a rumor or made up anything. No, it's literally what happened. You tried Forza Horizon as an Xbox exclusive, right? Just think about it. It still hasn't come to PlayStation. Nobody's heard anything about it. But yet, you didn't sell a ton of Xbox consoles because of that. Nobody really wants Xbox hardware anymore. What they want is your games just on all platforms so they can just play them. Because you hit the monopoly button on studios that were fine by themselves on other platforms and they were actually doing better. I think everything has become worse since you monopolized it. So getting into this, we're going to figure out some things. It says Xbox CEO tours. I think she's a Taurus. This is me though. I don't see her as a gamer. I'm like, oh yeah, you're a Taurus. Because you're not a gaming person. Elder Scrolls 6 amid Bethesda protest. Like, this is something that has nothing to do with her. You know what I mean? Like when Forza launches, she said something, I was like, that's cool, but you didn't work on the development. You have nothing to do with that. Phil Spencer will know way more about that than you. But it's the publishers and the developers that decide certain things. During her visit to Bethesda Game Studios in Rockville, Maryland, Sharma shared glowing praise for the game's grandeur on social media. While a communications workers of America protest unfolded on the lawn. You know, that's kind of going on because of the layoffs. The post teased an 8-letter subtitle. If you guys notice this, what they're talking about here, the subtitle is that's this right here, because it's also going to be called Elder Scrolls 6 with something after that. They can't really say what that is, because I think when they want to do that, they're probably going to announce the release date. So that's what this is right here, if you were probably wondering. Sparking fan guesses for the first title announced in 2018. Online reactions blended excitement over the rare demo glimpse with frustration over no release date or platform details set against recent Microsoft layoffs. We'll see that here in these comments, because a lot of people are going to be saying make it exclusive. Now we know Tim Dog's pushing that big time. Launch with Helix exclusive, make it a physical game, win. And this is the thing that's going on right now. Counter Sony with the physical disc, which I've explained it's not going to work. Make it a Helix exclusive if it's ready by that time. we know they're going to try to get them to get that out. That's my problem, is that I don't think you should rush Bethesda. They're not the type of company that is going to want to be rushed to get a game out. I think what that does is that interferes with writing, interferes with direction, just a lot of things. It can't be what it needs to be fully. And I think Todd Howard is frustrated with the Xbox CEO because I think they're now being rushed to do something a certain way. And then you see a lot of people saying that, oh, he's doing certain things. You haven't made a good game in this long. It's like, yeah, I agree with you on that. But even then, if you want Elder Scrolls 6 to be the best it needs to be given the time that it needs to actually finish. So it's pretty obvious that when it comes to Bethesda, what you want is Elder Scrolls and Fallout games, because Starfield didn't work as a new IP. So you want them to go back to actually what works. Somebody can tell you that and they can just go and make them do that. So they're going to be working on a lot of Fallouts and the mainline Elder Scrolls, obviously. Clue says it again, please make it Xbox exclusive. Now you see a lot of people liking this. A game of this scale can single-handedly change the entire console spectrum with Helix versus PlayStation 6. I'm going to tell you that that's going to be a huge mistake, because you're not going to get the install base that you want. You would have to literally sell 10 million consoles that year with selling 10 million Elder Scrolls 6 copies on Xbox Helix. And you would have to want people to actually pay that much money. See, there's a huge gamble with this. If you lock that into the Xbox ecosystem and it ends up failing and it does not work out for you, you're literally going to ruin everything. And the publishing for Bethesda and the development for Bethesda is going to be damaged significantly. And you're going to have this on Steam. So if you don't put this on Steam, because it's always about the workshops, that's been a thing, then what's going to end up going on is that the game is going to be so expensive and it's going to hurt it so bad that it's going to be hard for Bethesda to recover from that. This is what I mean. This is something that I think Xbox fanboys do not understand. Like I said, you got your answers with a couple of games already. Watch Gears of War E-Day flop. They're going to figure it out. It's not going to work. I'm telling you, look at what happened when they put Halo on PlayStation, and that was a bootleg launch without multiplayer. You know what ended up happening? The game still did bad, but imagine if PlayStation was not there. Those results would have been abysmal. You wouldn't have even been at over 1 million sales. I'll tell you, it's not going to work. Forza was on PlayStation, Horizon 5, and you saw how good that did. They didn't launch Forza Horizon 6 on PlayStation. That's been an Xbox console exclusive this whole time. But what did it really do for you? Not much. Then you jack the price up to $800 after that. Starfield was tried back then. It's supposed to be the big thing that Microsoft monopolized for to try that. You thought Starfield was going to be better than what you thought. You wouldn't have said anything until you got your hands on it and actually played it, and it was rushed out and you saw it wasn't finished. What did that do for Xbox? Absolutely nothing. The thing is that you already got your answer and you're just asking for the same thing without realizing that it's insanity, that it's not going to work. Now, Elder Scrolls 6 needs to be on Steam and it needs to be on PlayStation 5. And this game could end up selling like 40 million copies. That's the publishing that Microsoft wants. Then they're going to be like, damn, yeah, you know what? Because you're going to make more money off of that than Xbox Series consoles or Xbox Series consoles, because nobody's going to buy them and you're not going to make that much profit. Are you not understanding, Xbox fanboys, that it is not going to work for you? And that what you're asking for is publishing suicide. And for it to be locked into an ecosystem that it can't be on Game Pass either. Even if they do put this on Steam and don't put it on PlayStation, which it has to be on Steam, it cannot be put on Game Pass. You're going to have to buy this game. You see what I'm saying? No matter what games, even if I put it on PlayStation and I made a Switch 2 version that I'm working on and I have it on Steam, on Xbox, it's not going, like Call of Duty, it's not going to be a day game on Game Pass. That structure needs to change for certain games. Definitely this game. You just don't know what you're talking about. But that's a game studio says it was great being able to show you, and then there they go again. They're hiding it with the asterisk. So guys, here's the thing. If you guys aren't wondering, asterisk is this right here. Basically, when you post something and you don't show the end of the title, because it's supposed to be like Elder Scrolls 6, boom, whatever's going to be underneath that. It's like, okay, that's asterisk. So, but yeah, they're saying it was great to be able to show you asterisk. Thank you for the kind words and a wonderful visit. Now, I believe obviously that it's going to be a good game, but I'm a little bit worried about their decisions. But if you think about Bethesda, though, they said they wanted to be independent. All their games have literally been multi-platform, except Microsoft tried to force them to do Starfield there. And I think that's a sign for Bethesda to say that I don't want to do this again. Now, if you want to choose something like Fallout, or maybe, you know, a spin-off Fallout, sure. But even then, it's like, look how much Fallout 4 sold on PlayStation compared to Xbox. Bethesda has always been best being a third-party publishing studio, making amazing games for everybody to play. Do not change the DNA of the company that actually made them successful. Sure, you wanted to monopolize for them, but for what, though? So that you could have their games to place your publishing sticker over, just like you did the same thing with Call of Duty, but that has to be multi-platform. That's another game where it's like, man, I wish Call of Duty would be exclusive. Without us, that's not going to work. You'd be losing out so much money. Call of Duty now has such a foundation on PlayStation that it is a huge mistake to think that that will be ever an exclusive game. It's in a 10-year contract for a reason. It's the same thing for putting Call of Duty on the Switch too. It has to be on there because that's where you're going to make the most money. And I know there's a lot of people that are thinking that this is going to work, and I'm going to tell you that it's not going to work like you would think. You're going to be limiting the publishing of Bethesda big time by making it an Xbox exclusive, if that's what you're thinking with the Helix. You're not going to be able to have a console that's $500. If that was the case, that would probably be a little bit different. But here's the thing. It's too expensive for people to even want to think about buying. No console gamer is going to want to spend that much money. Only Xbox fanboys, in general, people with just money to spend. Would I be able to get one? Sure, but am I going to? No, I'm going to pass it up because I have a PC. And I believe that if Steam is on there, then you're literally not making any sense by even trying to think that. No, it's going to have to be on Steam. And because of that, nobody's going to need to buy Helix. You see what I mean? They can't escape it because you can't make this an exclusive. And when I'm talking about exclusive, guys, I want you to think about this. I'm talking about only being on Xbox and not being on Steam. He says, just please tell me how I could choose male or female instead of the dehumanizing body type A or B and he, himself. Okay, that's funny. Continue physical games for Xbox Helix, please. You know what's so funny about that? And then you got this type of stuff here, which is like, no, I mean, whether this had physical disc or not, it's not going to sell that many physical copies. Then you got this stuff going on too. It's like, it's funny that you say that, but this company has destroyed everything Xbox you cared about. And monopolized and ruined other companies. Stupid people. The Elder Scrolls 6 could give Project Helix something Microsoft has struggled to establish for years, a genuine hardware advantage. You don't spend billions acquiring Bethesda only to voluntarily turn one of its most powerful franchises into another ubiquitous third-party release. It should be a reason to choose Xbox, a reason to stay in the ecosystem, a reason for Project Helix to matter. Don't measure it solely by unit sales, measure what it can do for Xbox. No. No. You don't get it. It doesn't work anymore. Microsoft can't play that game. It's over. It's just stop with that crap. It's not going to work. The hype is real. Can't wait till it's announced as an Xbox console exclusive. Oh, God. See, man, this is what I mean. If you listen to Xbox fanboys, you're going to fail. This is why Gears is going to fail. Watch. And they have it on Steam. And it's... Imagine if they would have did that to Halo. You would have seen the results, right? It would have been worse. Just subtract PlayStation. No. It's not going to work. So become a member. Leave a tip down below. Let me know what you guys actually think about this. Stop begging for PlayStation's position. You can't play that game anymore. Be a third-party publisher. You already went too far into that, and it's over. There's nothing you could do to change that. What you want... and what you were begging for before is to have a game on Game Pass. But this game should not be a Game Pass game. It should be a game you want to buy and support. That's all I'm saying. The Xbox Helix to me is going to be something well over $1,000. And I'm sorry, that's not going to get people to buy that machine like you think it would. Microsoft's focused on other stuff. They don't need hardware install bases with exclusives to make the company be okay in the gaming sense. What you need is strong publishing sales. Everything else is going back to a world that you just can't go back to anymore. It's not going to work for you. See the writing on the wall. It's been there. Later.